The Florida Gators are bringing in some absolute studs for the 2026 recruiting class.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. As always, I am Brandon Olsen. Happy Tuesday. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins with FanDuel. And we did this last week talking about Will Griffin, Janari Carr, and JJ Perez, where we essentially spent one segment each talking about a scouting report from watching their film, which, by the way, for anybody that is interested in watching these players or watching any players that Florida's recruiting, targeting, has committed, whatever it is, usually, I mean, their On3 page has a lot of the highlights, and also you just search that player. Like you could type in Kaiden Hall, Huddle, HUDL, and that's how you can find a lot of these guys' film. Usually the better way to find it instead of relying on a recruiting service to do it, because they don't always have them up to date. But we are going to start with Kaiden Hall. We're going in the order of when they committed. So we're going to talk about Kaiden Hall, then we're going to talk about Chancellor Campbell, and then we're going to talk about Justin Williams. And if you're part of the Locked On Gators Insider program, links in the description below if you're not part of it. But they got sent these last night. They get extra stuff. It happens. If you don't like it, change it, join it. But we're going to talk about Kaiden Hall first, who is a 4-star by every recruiting service except for 24/7, where he's a 3-star. I believe their next update is coming in July. I expect him to be a 4-star there. He's listed as 6'2.5", 200 pounds on On3. And that's, one, just insane size to get. But two, relevant because when you watch his film, it's evident in some things with his game. First off, and I'm doing this in the order in which I saw it on film. So if you're watching film and you see this, you'll know the order in which I'm seeing these things, or where my thought process generally is. That's not always how I do it, but it's how I did it with Kaiden Hall. Explosive first step. You see that on the first play from his highlights from 2024. You see his quick first step and just, zero hesitation to just fire downhill against the run. Like, he is so quick trigger to just see, does the running back have the ball? Then I'm flying downhill. That's pretty much when it can. And you can kind of see it. That's one thing I do enjoy about watching high school film, is that you can see when kids start to click and when they start to kind of on field, when they recognize, all right, where's the ball? See the ball, get the ball. And Kaiden Hall is that kind of player where you can kind of watch him process as things are happening, where he sees, okay, running back moving. Does running back have the ball? He does, and fires down. Like, he's running the alley. He's coming in, and he's ready to hit. He is a dude. Like, I love seeing it. I do think that his pursuit angles aren't the best. They're not awful. They're not bad. Like, he's not DJ Douglas out there. His pursuit angles aren't the best, but they're not awful. And that's another thing where, because again, when we're watching a high school film, we're not looking for someone where we go, hey, what is he going to do this fall for the Florida Gators? It's going to be at least a year and 3 months before he's playing a game for the Florida Gators at the absolute earliest. So I'm not looking for someone that is a perfect player. I'm looking for someone that has the athletic traits to translate and perform at the SEC level. And that's what we're looking for with Kaiden Hall. Like I can mention, pursuit angles, they're not the best, but at the same time, I don't expect them to be. I don't expect to watch a high school safety and watch him come in and know exactly what angle to take at all times and exactly how to make these stops every single time. That's just not realistic. we're looking at something that gets better with experience. It's like talking about DJ Lagway a lot, right? There were points on film in 2024 where we're talking about DJ Lagway, and you see some mistakes, and you go, "Oh, well, he's a freshman. That'll get better with time. He'll get more used to, he'll get more used to navigating the pocket. He'll get more used to taking that extra half second if needed to make the better throw. He'll get used to doing all these things. They get better with experience. And pursuit angles is something where you kind of just have to go out there, screw it up, figure out what you can and can't do, and then know, all right, this is what I have to do. I was horrible. Like, I'm not a great athlete, right? I've said this many times. And so for me, I'd be like, I got to take a super conservative pursuit angle in terms of making sure I can actually get there, because I'm not a fast dude. Kaiden Hall, not going to have that problem. But again, this is a thing where you're going to get better with experience there. And I will say Kaiden Hall, one thing he does pretty well is that he has, I want to say good aware. I was going to say great. I want to say good awareness in zone coverage. He did a good job, and you could see this on film quite a few times, where he is keeping his eyes in the backfield, which oftentimes that's your responsibility there. Keeping his eyes in the backfield, watching the quarterback, and he's got I think it was a tight end and a receiver, and he's got the tight end running not deep but further downfield. Receiver runs a little bit of an out, and Kaiden Hall kind of he starts at the tight end, comes down to the receiver, and then starts backing up toward the tight end again. And when Kaiden Hall comes down to the receiver, that's when the quarterback throws the ball to the tight end, and Kaiden Hall's there to break up the pass. And plays like that are just impressive. Like, those kind of instincts in coverage, they're not easy to learn. They're not easy to teach. But once you get it going, again, it's a thing where you have to kind of learn and go out there and do it. And once you get it going, you can be really freaking good. And while Kaiden Hall, again, he's listed as 6'2.5". So let's say conservatively, we'll go super conservative here. 6'1.5". Let's say they lied by an inch there, right? Even if he's 6'1.5", he looks like he has long arms. I would be willing to bet he's got a wingspan of at least 6'4.5", 6'5". And so when you're a pretty good athlete, good instincts, and that length, you should be able to go in there and make plays on the ball pretty consistently. And that's what you kind of see from him on film when the few times that he was targeted, he's there. He had a few hits where he just absolutely popped the ball carrier. Like I'm not watching it with audio, but I'd imagine if I were there, I'm going to hear the pop of those pads, because you could just see the violent intent that he attacks the ball carrier with at times. And first off, you love seeing it from a safety. I mean, I feel like that's been a bit of a lost art, we'll say, of safeties that are coming down and actually looking to pop you. And Kaiden Hall does exactly that. I love the way that he sifts through traffic. He'll sidestep, and then attack the hole, because he's kind of tracking where the running back's going. He lost the running back a little bit, wait for him to pop out, and then go make the play. And he does that a lot. And there are times where, even if he's not the one making the tackle, he is just both hands on the ball carrier, and he's not letting go. He's slowing him down while other people come to make the stop if he's not the one making it himself. I love that kind of gang tackle mentality that I feel like we are starting to see come back more again, where we're seeing, intentionally trying to just gang tackle so that someone can try to punch a ball out here and there. Kaiden Hall, he does play a little high in coverage sometimes, high hip, which again, I mentioned having really long arms. The flip side of that is that you're going to have long legs as well. And so Kaiden Hall plays a bit high, can just drop the hips a little bit. But again, not surprising for someone that's listed as 6'2.5" to play high. I don't think anybody would be surprised by that if you went, hey, this guy that's really tall, turns out he plays tall too. No one's surprised by that. And the last thing that I did write about Kaiden Hall's film was just he's confident in everything he does. There is just, there is zero hesitation in anything he's doing on that field. And that's always the thing I've talked about with DBs, especially as well. if you can just move and operate with that level of confidence, like even if you're not making a big play, they will come to you. When we're talking about the process, that's what we're talking about. Like when we're talking about the process and you're playing confident, like playing with that confidence, things will come to you. Things will happen for you because you're just moving with that just violent intent that he plays with against the run and the bouncing back and forth in zone coverage. Beautiful play from, again, a very young football player still. And that's one of my favorite things about the high school film is watching these kids. And it's like most of them, if not all of them that we're talking about, at least as SEC targets, most of them haven't even scratched the surface of what they can and will become. And so looking at that, I just love seeing that kind of stuff. So we talked about Kaiden Hall. We are going to get to the other two Florida Gators that committed this weekend on Locked On Gators. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's, I don't know, game-winning shot, hopefully not anymore from Tyrese Halliburton, hate him, or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the next player that we are talking about today is, of course, the next player that committed to the Florida Gators, and it's Chancellor Campbell, offensive lineman out of Lakewood and St. Pete, 6'8", 310 pounds. Okay. First thing on the scouting report, just a massive human, right? And let me get to the rankings. 3-star by everybody. And I think that's fair. I know that there's people who, and we spoke about this when he committed on Sunday, where there's people who are going to talk about, the 3-star and where that lands in the recruiting sites. And I will say this, I am always going to bank on the side of the people who get paid millions of dollars to do this. Because the people that get paid millions of dollars to do this, that their career depends on being right here, like, I can be wrong about my analysis of a player. On 24/7, all of them can be wrong in their analysis of a player. And also part of that is kind of luck. A lot of it is, I don't know how a kid's going to show up to campus and work hard. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to show up and slack off. I'm looking at what I see on the film and my opinion of them there. But the people that do get paid millions of dollars and get to know and get to talk to the high school coaches and get to find out what these guys' work ethic is, Florida, Ohio State, Penn State, all had official visits set up. Florida got them. Ohio State, Penn State canceled. Florida's got their guy, right? Florida's got their offensive tackle that is a high ceiling player. And I can tell you now, 6'8", there's going to be times where you go, hey, he plays a bit too big at times. I don't care if you're an NFL first-round pick. If you're 6'8", people are going to say, hey, could stand to drop pad level a little bit. It's fine. It's like the same thing with the defensive lineman. You're going to go, hey, can stand to drop the pad level a little bit every single time. One thing with Chancellor Campbell, and this is a thing that going back to Fletcher Westphal for the 2024 class, going back to Fletcher Westfall's film, one of my favorite things about him was just that he was absolutely relentless and mean. And Florida's offensive line recruiting, they've consistently targeted guys who are just relentless and mean. And that's what they're going for. We talked about this with Janari Carr last week. Just putting guys on the ground and then crawling over them and just demoralizing them. Because that's what you're trying to do. And like you watch Chancellor Campbell's film, it looks like he's playing middle schoolers out there. He's pushing them 15 yards downfield someplace. He's just beating their ass all day. He's just pummeling them. Like you can honestly probably put not even a full year of film for him. You could probably just put a game or two and be like, hey, look at what I do to people. Because he's just a tank and he's mean. And when you're that big and that mean, I love it. Because you've already got the natural size advantage over people. That if you could just do that and then you kind of reinforce the thought that, hey, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you, I'm better than you. It's awesome to see, right? I will say one thing on film that Chancellor Campbell did that to me was very, I'm going to say impressive. I'm going to say very impressive was that there were a couple of times that he was facing an edge rusher that tried to break out spin moves against him. And there are a lot of college and NFL offensive tackle. And look, the spin move wasn't a great spin move, but there are a lot of college and NFL offensive tackles that will get beat by the inside spin. I would think that 98% of high school offensive tackles are getting beat by inside spin moves. Because I don't think it's a thing like from all of the high school offensive tackle film that we've watched through the years, there haven't been a ton of guys that when I'm watching the offensive tackles film, I see a spin move. When we're watching edge rusher film, sure, you'll see a spin move here and there. But from watching from watching a high school offensive tackles film, it's very rare that you see a spin move because it's very rare, I think, for high school kids to face often or to actually successfully stop. And so I think that was one of the most impressive. I will say that was, I think, the most impressive thing of Chancellor Campbell's film was seeing the spin move and not even losing a little bit, like not losing a little bit of ground, not losing a little bit of space, just seeing the spin move and stopping it. I think it was 3 times on his film from 2024. Just stopped it every single time. And to see that, again, not just once, but more than once, that's impressive as hell. I don't care who you are. I don't care how high your standards are. I don't care what you think about the ranking. That's impressive. It is. I will say that one thing that for me was I don't want to say red flag, but it was a con in his film was that his hand placement and technique it needs a lot of work. There were quite a few times where his hands, like even if he's winning the rep just because he's more powerful, he's got one hand behind the guy, one hand in front, and he's like there were quite a few things where your hands are getting out this wide and people are trying to do things like you're going to get flagged. You are. If you've got to, and yes, there is the rule of, if someone spins and that's why you got their back, then that's not a hold. Sure. But there were times where it's just like he straight up just hugs the dude. And it's like, all right, well, you're going to get flagged for stuff like that. And so his hands get a bit too wide at times, just get a bit crazy at times. But again, this is a thing where with high school offensive linemen especially, I think high school offensive lineman is the hardest position to project success because for high school, it's are you big enough? Are you strong enough? Are you athletic enough? And for high school, that's usually all it takes to be considered, a good high school offensive lineman. So I think it's so hard to project where they're going to develop or how they're going to develop just because, it's about, showing up to work. Like I mentioned last segment, showing up. What's your work ethic? How hard are you really willing to work for this? And I think there are a lot of high school offensive linemen that just don't work out. But if Chancellor Campbell is willing to come in and just bust his ass, he's going to find some success. Because, again, once the technique gets down, like he's got the size. He's got the athleticism. You watch him on film, he's chasing linebackers. Like, chasing them. And they can't do anything. Because the play's coming near them. If they're going to make a play, they got to get through him. And it's not just that they have to get through him. It's that he's trying to get through them. And like on film, he looks like he just enjoys beating them down. And I love it. But so I think that once you get the technique down, you're going to be there. And you could see, some of the athleticism. He pops out of his stance in pass pro. Or when he's popping into pass pro, pops out. Can cover a lot of ground out wide, like gets good depth. Does a great job in pass pro, and I think that part of that's the athleticism there that is on display. I think in pass pro, though, he does need to do a better job of I don't want to say looking for work, because I do think that's the thing that a lot of players have an issue with. I don't necessarily think that was the bigger issue with Chancellor Campbell's film. I do think that he could have benefited from looking to work, but he's not looking for work because when he doesn't have someone near him to block, there were a couple times where he just plants his feet, and I mean completely stops moving them, just stands, and he's in his stance still, but he's not bouncing, he's not shuffling, he's not doing anything. He's just still ready, hands ready to block, but his feet are just planted. And I mean that you're at a disadvantage there, because if you do have to face someone that's moving around and you're flat-footed and they're running full steam ahead, you better be way stronger than them, because that's gonna be an ugly collision if you're just standing still. But generally, also you do want someone to look for work again, even if it's just a pop of someone. Like you want to look for work a little bit. So there is room for improvement again. But again, when we're talking about high school offensive linemen, we're not talking about someone to come in right away. And Chancellor Campbell has said openly, he's like, look, I'm coming here to get developed. I'm not coming here to step in and play early. Like, that's not what I'm expecting to do. I'm coming here to get developed and to get better. And so there are flaws in his game. He knows there are flaws in his game. But the willingness to improve is there. And so if he's actually going to show up and do it, he's got a high ceiling. He does. Again, that size, all the athletic traits he has, and the nasty, those are success traits, I'll call them. Those are huge green flags. Florida also added one of the most productive high school players in the state of Florida in Justin Williams. Talk about him on Locked On Gators. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free. We're listening to the podcast and on YouTube. Again, we're talking about these most recent commits for the Florida Gators. Locked On Gators Insider Program. Join subtext.com/LockedOnGators. You got these scouting reports last night. You will always get things early. Justin Williams committed, Gainesville's very own, 5'11", 195 pounds. He's a 4-star everywhere except Rivals, where he's a 3-star. And he's a wide receiver that played running back as well. He had over 1,400 receiving yards, over 1,000 rushing yards. I think it was 30 combined touchdowns because one was a return as well. And I think it was 30. But just elusive as hell with the ball in his hands. He has a pretty nice spin move. And when you cut on his film, that's, I think, the first or second play you see the spin move, and love seeing it. One of the things that I will talk about with this film is because again, you look at the film, he's outrunning everybody. Like he's getting by a bunch of people. He's got these long plays. I don't know if he has game-breaking SEC speed. Okay? But I mean, the Percy Harvins. I don't know if he has that. But I think he's got enough speed to hit the big play. And I do think that he's someone that, we can talk about as someone that isn't insanely fast, right? I think he's been clocked as like a 4.48 40-yard dash time. I want to say it was. I want to say he ran a 4.48. I think it was laser timed. And so I don't want to say that he's, that's not slow. Okay. It's not slow. It's not game breaking speed though. But I do think that he's got plus acceleration. Like I think that's where he wins. I think it's that he can just accelerate and he has enough speed to not get caught from behind. Because again, 4.48, and again, we're still talking high school. So 4.48, pretty good. Again, not game-breaking speed, but even Percy Harvin ran like a 4.41. So it's not always, 40 time isn't always exactly translatable. But I do think where Justin Williams wins is with his acceleration, and then he's got enough speed to not get caught from behind. So he breaks through the hole, and you're not catching him. If you're, it's like if I'm even, I'm leaving kind of thing. A lot of times it's if he's bursting through, he's fast enough to just not get caught. I don't think he's someone who it's like, yeah, we're going to just let him run straight and he's going to blow by everybody like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Like he's not doing that. And I think he's a little bit or not a little bit. I think he's slower than Kadarius Toney, but that was how Kadarius Toney won a lot too. Kadarius Toney, if you watch it, it wasn't always just him running downfield and outrunning everybody. It was he would burst through, and if he gets by you, it's really tough to catch him. That kind of stuff of what we're talking about there. Like Jalen Hyatt is someone who I know a lot of people listening to this don't like because he's a Tennessee Volunteer, but he was someone who is just speed. Like he's not like he's going to build up the speed, just outrun you, and then you're not catching him from behind. Justin Williams, again, he's got the acceleration and then enough speed to knock you off from behind, which again, that works. And in high school, I think he's got game-breaking speed for high school. I'm talking about translating that to the SEC. I think he's got plus acceleration with enough speed to not get caught from behind, or not get caught from behind often, because you're going to run into the guys that run 4.23s and whatnot. But I think he's got enough speed to not get caught from behind once he gets through. Doesn't get rerouted easily from physical coverage, which he didn't see a ton of. And you can see that he's not used to press coverage because you watch his film, and he doesn't really have like a release package. He's not doing a ton at the line. He's just getting into his route right away because he's not getting pressed. He's not getting disturbed, which I will say also for Florida, I do think he's more of like the motion guy, and so probably also won't be getting pressed often there. So hopefully there's that. But even when he was pressed, or if he's running through a zone, they try to bump him, wasn't really getting moved much. He really wasn't. And he's again listed as 5'1", 190. His build looks pretty stout. It looks pretty well built. So not going to be getting bumped a ton there. No fear to just go up and get it in traffic. Like you watch also. I don't know what the hell circus catches he's making, but like QB1 didn't always make it easy for him. Like QB didn't always make life easy for him, but he did a good job of adjusting to the ball in there. There's one time he's sliding and he reels it in. There's times where he's contorting his body and catch. He's clearly a very athletic person, nimble, just great mover, great catch radius for someone who's 5'11". A lot of guys where it's like, oh yeah, he's 5'11", not a great catch radius. Not Justin Williams. He's moving around high, low, left, right. He's going everywhere. And so he's got great catch radius there, especially for his size. Good contact balance as a rusher. I'll say as a ball carrier, not just rusher, because, again, catches the ball. So good contact balance. You watch linebackers try to arm tackle him. It's not working. A lot of DBs try to genuinely tackle him, and it's not working. Again, that spin move. Like he breaks out the spin move a lot. If a corner gets hands on him, he'll spin. Corners usually let go at that point. They don't want to go for the ride. A lot of them aren't interested in tackling like that. So you see the spin move when a corner gets on him. I will say, I think he might be someone who's a better long-term fit as a running back that can go into the slot, as opposed to a slot that can slide into the running back role. But if he's the slot guy that is just running drags and the slot guy that's just taking the pop passes or the sweeps, he could absolutely do that. But I do think that he might be better, and I just mean ceiling-wise, might be better as a running back that could do it all. But also, if you're an offensive weapon, you're an offensive weapon. When I sent out the scouting report, I called him an offensive weapon. It's not a knock to say that you're not a receiver or a running back or a tight end. It's not. I do this with my NFL draft reports as well. If there's a guy that's a hybrid running back receiver or a hybrid receiver tight end, or the very rare Jaheim Bell from South Carolina, then Florida State, and then the New England Patriots, like if there's a very rare guy like that, you're running back and tight end. Steelers had one a while back as well from NC State. I just forget his name. But if you got guys like that, offensive weapon. It's just get the ball to him. Let him make plays. Let him do things. Let him be dynamic. Kyle Pitts is another one, the wide receiver tight end style, where it's like just let him be dynamic. I'm just going to call you an offensive weapon because that's what you are. And I think Justin Williams is that. Again, I think if we're going to fit him into one spot, I think running back might be better long term. But I think it's just a dynamic playmaker. They just give him the ball and let him make those plays. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, right in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators. Hopefully, we'll be back tonight if there's a commit. Hopefully, I do have a prior engagement that hopefully won't be mixed up in that. Hopefully, but we will be back at the absolute latest tomorrow for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I will see you all next time.